Hey guys, this is David Arcee from Fytron Software LLC, and we're going to be going through the Fytron application to kind of summarize what we went through on our live stream, as well as our Q&A session with some of our beta users. So if you aren't already a future beta user, I would recommend coming to the Fytron Software website and putting in your email so that the next time we open up access to beta testing, you'll be the first to be. So we're going to go through the process of getting into the account just from the main site. So you're going to log into your business account. So that'll be the username that you created your account with and your account login pin. And over here is our active services. Right now, you'll only have one. So it's the site, and we'll re-log in because now we are on our own domain. You'll see whatever your business name is, it'll show up prior to the actual domain. So let's log in, and here we are. So this is kind of what it looks like when you have a fresh account of invoices, inventory, labor. This is preset labor guide that'll show up. This is what we have as a baseline. We're open to taking suggestions, changing it, working around how to make it better so that when we release Fytron, this is solidified as a standard for the machine shop industry. We also have customers, and in the future we will have accounting, so that's now up there. That's disabled, so it doesn't actually do anything, but it's to notify you that it is on the list of things. Reports, business settings, and this is where we do a lot of our changes. We'll be starting here, and then we also have a link to the Process Pro area. So if you're an AERA member, you can easily just switch back between Fytron and Process. We're hoping for further integration into the future with AERA. And then you also have your Fytron site, which takes you back to the main page. So we're going to get started here on the business settings. I kind of have some of it already pre-filled. We have business name, address. Most of the stuff will be on the print page for the invoice. So you'll see all that kind of show up. I'll put in here. And we'll put this in. And bar number, that's also for the sake of the print page. And we're going to go with EPA. This is a California standard. And so we have an EPA number. We're just putting in random numbers for right now. It's fine. This EPA value is your minimum threshold. So we always charge EPA. Some places have waste disposal. We're open to making changes and adding things to that. So our minimum threshold is just going to be $6. So if 1.5% of all of our total labor is more than that value, then we'll use that. Otherwise, we always charge $6 if there's labor on the invoice. Invoice starting number, if you're coming from a previous system, you want to keep your invoices sequential, we can start at 9,000, and then you'll see us start at that value. We go back to invoice. Default markup. This is a percentage of what you want all your products to be marked up. So you put a value in the unit cost, and then your sale price will automatically use this default markup. And we have some extra rules that you'll see to further impact the markup for better granularity. So I'll show you that in a second. Tax rate, we'll go with 9%. Standard labor rate is maybe what you charge for normal walk-in. They get in the queue, they get in the job line. So, and then you have your premium labor rate, which will be someone come in, they say, hey, I need this now. Charge 110, let's say. Heavy duty labor rate, say 115. So you'll see that we can use any of these values when we create an invoice. And that makes the invoice understand, hey, for this invoice, this is our labor rate. And then any labor that you add will use that labor rate. Obviously, you can change it at any point in time through each of the labors, but the invoice will start off with whatever labor rate you give it. So I'll show you guys that as well. So this is the better markup. So we can go from a range of dollars. So 0 to 20 is a 50% markup. You have 21 to 50. We'll do a 35% markup. 5100. Let's make this 25. We'll actually make the default. You'll see that actually working. So we'll save the business settings. So here we have users. There's no limit on how many users you can have. They all log in from the same point from which you do. So it'll be your domain up here /login, and anyone who has an account can log into your system. So I'm going to create a staff account, and we'll show you the differences on those. Just put this, create a staff account, and then we'll create the employee account. So in the future, we hope to have more permissions besides the employee, staff, and owner to give you more control over what each person can do, see, and that'll allow them to, have only particular access to portions of the Fytron system. We're hoping to get extremely great. So this is great. We'll save these settings and we'll head over to Invoice. I want to touch on this really quick. We have the suggestions box in the bottom right. This makes it really easy to send us, hey, you're working on something, you're like, hey, I like this, or I don't like this, or hey, maybe it'd be cool if we had this, and you just send it to us. We receive it right away. We talk about it and we try and get it into our updates queue as fast as possible. So this is extremely handy. It's on every single page. So we have no invoices. Invoices are the money makers of your business. So this is where you're going to want to be at all times. All these other sections help you develop your invoice easier, faster, and more automated. So let's create an invoice. We have no customers, so let's create a new customer. So we have a date in, and we can choose a different date in than today, but it defaults to today. Say it's open. I'll just say I am writing this. This is for the sake of documentation as well as the technician. We could have a PO number. You don't have to have it. We'll use a premium labor rate. So you'll see we use the premium value that we set in business setting. So let's add a first name. I'll make it myself. Let's just use some fake numbers. And company, Fytron Software. And yeah, so that's cool. Address. And so if you notice, it has California it has the state as California already, and that gets pulled from your business settings because more than likely you're gonna have people coming in from your own state, so it defaults to that, but you can change it at any time. Code, cool. And for the vehicle, let's say this is a 2017 Chevy Colorado, and I'm not going to put any authorized by. So this is just used as documentation to ensure that the work that you have estimated out for them, quoted for them, has been authorized. So this is just the documentation of that. It was today as well. Time, sure, we can do this. Make it simple. 6 o'clock a.m. Let's do that. Called by myself. Authorization to start work. Let's say we said it was $250. Reassembly days, that's just a default of 5, just how long it takes to do the job. Save old parts, that's a California thing. We have to have it, but it allows you to say, hey, yes, we're going to save the old parts, or not save the old. Comment section is just open documentation on the invoice. So you can say dropped off 8 piston, something like that. It doesn't matter. It's for your documentation as well as your customer's documentation. Cool feature is you can have mini deposits. So if they decide to come in and pay certain amounts, so we'll make this 50, make this 5, and let's make this 5. And so that'll show up on your detail page as well as your print page. That's nice. We don't have any parts in our system, in our inventory, so we're gonna have to create a custom part here. So this will be cool. Part number, CH, this high variance. So now you'll see our markups doing their work. So if we were to do $1, you'll see that's a 50% markup in the sale price. Takes care of that for you. If we are at, let's say $50, that is, I think we said a 35% markup. I think that's what, might have been 20. And then you'll see $100. That's a 15, since that's above our, that's what we set in our default. So that's just an automated feature to eliminate having to know how much you having to individually mark up each part that you're adding to the, does it for you. You just need to know how much it costs you. Description, we'll put raw variants, and we'll do the order thing in a bit. It's actually a cool feature. It makes it easier to read the invoice and know without having to even really look at it. So right here we can utilize our labor guide. Let's see, CRK. Let's just say we do clean, wet mag, grind, and polish crankshaft. Okay, and we'll say it's 6 cylinder. Cool. So as you notice, our price per hour, that is the premium labor rate. That's where it starts at. You can obviously change this at any time and updates accordingly. Now, the labor guide information is locked, so you can't actually change it in the labor section of Fytron. But when you put it on an invoice, you could say, no, this is going to cost me 1.75 hours. So that way you can still modify it, even though it may not be exactly perfect for what you need. So we'll do that. We'll save the invoice. Now we're saved. So this is the invoice detail page. It labels everything about the invoice of everything that you had. Some things are calculated. Shows your parts, your labor, all of your deposits over here. Has your tax. Your EPA is 6. Deposit was $80, so the amount due is $243. Even though the invoice total is more, we take the deposit out of it. So from here, we can go to edit, back into here. This is what I want to show is a really cool feature. You can say, yeah, we already ordered this, and save the changes. And now it's green. You know that that's taken care of, and you can move on to the next portion of the invoice or not worry about having to do that. Same thing with the labor. You know it's completed. Oh, different value. You know, that brings up a good point. I would like that to be a little bit granular. So let's say, okay, and let's say labor hours on the invoice should be 2 decimals, let's say. We could do something like that. I'm not sure that will much matter to anyone. I think we did that for the sake of making it easy to add simple hours. We just do it on the first decimal. But I think it would be interesting to decimals. Message. Cool, that's how simple it is to add a suggestion. Cool. So another great feature about Fytron is the fact that you can add images. As soon as you have a job come in the shop, you can take images from your phone, from even a smartwatch, tablet, and since you can access Fytron on any of those devices, well, maybe not a smartwatch, but you know, from a smartphone or a tablet, you can access Fytron from any of those. You can upload it right from your own gallery. So that's really cool. We're doing it from the computer here, so else we're going to add these 2 things. This is just for the sake of just showing you. Cool, those are added. So it shows you have 2 images added. And spec sheets. This is another cool feature that we're going to be implementing continuously. So right now we have a balance spec sheet and an engine spec sheet. Balance spec sheet involves all the calculations needed. As you'll see, the bottom values down here will start to change as we put in things. And then I'm just putting in random values right now. I don't have anything set up for an exact example, but the fact is that they are specific calculations to match all the things that you need for balance specification. Let's see. %. So as you can see, it shows all the calculated values from what you inputted, which is do an engine spec sheet as well. You'll say And so this is just values you can fill out. This is for documentation of your engine builds. So this is really cool. We can constantly add things to this, and then we're hoping to have more spec sheets like airflow specification sheets. Your compression ratio on the engine spec will also be calculated as well. It isn't yet, but we will have those calculations coming in the future. So we'll close out. It looks like we have both spec sheets now. Save the input. Uploading the photos, and we're good to go. So as you can see, we have both of our images here. It even shows that both of these things are completed or ordered at this point. And you have images. Cool. So you can cycle through them, of course. That's really nice. So now it's on the invoice. And so you'll also see your spec sheets here as well, the inputted values and the calculated values, and then also your engine spec. This has all the values that you entered there as well. Then we can move into printing an invoice. And so this is what the invoice looks like. We have the bottom section down here. This is a standard known as write it right. And so this protects not only the shop, but the customer. It makes sure that, you know, any previous work that has been done is not at the fault of the shop. And so you have them initial and sign. It's for the sake of legal protection. And this may not have all the pretty colors. If you go to look at yours, you head over here to more settings and you click background graphics. That helps. And then also disable headers and footers because we don't want to see anything printed from the website itself. So that's what the print page looks like for the invoice. And we also have balance specification print page. So it shows everything that we just filled in. And same thing for the engine specification sheet. Same kind of thing. Okay, so that looks pretty cool. So we can head back to invoices and you'll see our invoice there. You'll see that we have images attached due to the little icon. You can also print from here. You can also click edit from here. So let's do this. We can click edit, change the status to close. We finish this up. Date out is now today. So whenever you close it, it just puts it in there for you. So you don't have to worry about it. If it was closed out a different day, you can always change it. Save the invoice again. Cool. We're all good. Oh no, where'd it go? Oh, well, we don't want to show closed invoices all the time. So we default make it so we only show the open, done, ready, cold, delivered, and paid. And you selectively choose what you want to see. So if we click closed, it shows up automatically, which is really nice. Now, one thing that's really beautiful about Fytron is you can search many different ways. So if we are searching for Chevy, it shows up. If we are searching for the name Robert, nothing shows up. We can search for V6, all V6. That's really nice. I can search by multiple things. So, oh, that didn't show up. That's correct, right? Because we don't have an invoice that matches those two things. So it matches everything that's based in here. As soon as I put 2016, it's not a match, right? It's 2017. So it's a really great search, super fast. Another cool thing is you have any of these headers that have these little arrow buttons on it. I know they're kind of small, but it's just an extra little feature. You can sort any of the columns that have that on it. You could sort them by ascending or descending, which is pretty nice. You can also limit how many invoices you want to show per page. So that's awesome. So let's head back over to inventory and we can create some products here. Let's just say we are Mala. I'm just using some vendor. Part number, UPC. You can scan this straight from your barcode scanner if you'd like. You just click on the box, scan it, and your UPC is now in. Now the source of product, you either have it from stock, which means you have a stock quantity, 16, or you have not from stock, which means you order it, you probably don't stock it, but you may want to keep it in your inventory database for future use, whether you stock it or not. And the good thing is, if we do choose from stock, anything you put on the invoice where stock is being managed, it will reflect that in your inventory. So you'll be able to see, oh, hey, yeah, we only have 8 left. We used 8 on the invoice. So the invoices and inventory in terms of stock are connected. Location, you can say at second shop, row 2, bin 6, something like that. You can, however you decide to do it. Unit cost, we can do the same thing here. We can say, hey, we're at 69. So that sale price, let's go look at our business settings. 69 falls into the markup min and markup max, so it's a 25% markup. So 5% markup. Pretty cool. We save that and we're good to go. That's pretty great. So if we head over to back to the inventory, we'll see that here. The search happens the same ways as well as our sorts. You'll see this reoccurring on all the other sections. Edit, and we can change something here as well. So that's pretty cool. You can head over to labor, and as you can see, this is all of our labor guide as we've shown before. You can't change or edit this, but you can go and actually look at some of these. So if we look, we can 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder. This is just a labor guide. These are sub labors that are attached to these more general labors. So we can also create one of these. We can say, let's say none of those actually work for you and you need a new kind of labor. And let's say this takes us 2 hours. We can save that. So now we have that labor, but let's add this sub. Let's make it so the 4 cylinders, and we'll make it 1 hour. We'll do 6 cylinders, make it 1.5, and we'll make 8 cylinders 2 hours. Let's save that, and now you have that. When you head back to labor, you'll see, yes, we can edit and delete this. So we can go ahead and delete that. Cool. Fun. Customers. Now this section is just a customer database. We'll probably be adding something in the future that actually utilizes this section more than just, hey, I need to get a customer's information or their vehicle information. So as you can see in here, they have vehicles attached to them. We can edit this customer. We can add a new vehicle. This is pretty straightforward. I'm just adding the same thing, just a different year. Add that to the customer. Let's save the customer. Cool, that's great. So I'm going to add a resale number to this. So we'll say 1, 2. And so now he has a resale number. So we'll utilize that in just a second. So if we head back to customers, all this information, we can obviously create a new customer. It's cool. You can also delete and edit. So invoices. Obviously the other one's closed, so we'll keep that off. Create a new invoice, existing customer, David RC, existing vehicle. Let's use a 2016. So the invoice. It puts all the information that we have about that customer and his vehicle already in here. So that's super nice. And we also have the resale number now. So let's save this in. Let's add some parts actually. Add parts we created, and let's add one of these here. All right, so we're using standard labor. So now our labor price per hour is that of the standard labor, which we defined in our business settings. So let's save this invoice. And now you'll see there is no tax applied. That's because we now have a resale number. This is pretty great. So one of the things that you'll notice is if we go back to our closed invoice, he still has tax. And so what happens is once an invoice is created, it is isolated. It uses all the data to create the invoice, but once it is a part of the invoice, you can't actually change something in the customers and have it affect the invoice. And that may void invoices that have been closed in the past or edited in the past or are currently open, and you don't want it to affect that. So this is just to protect unneeded changes. So our report section, it's not a great UI right now. We're still working on it. It's in its early stages. We just have today's gross, weekly gross, monthly gross, yearly gross. You'll see that we didn't close on today, but it's part of the month. So we'll see that closed invoice here. 329 was closed. So we closed on 211, which is not today. Today is 210. So that's why it doesn't display today's. If we edit it and we say this was closed on the 10th, save that. Back to reports. Now it displays in today's, week, and monthly. You can also select your own dates as well. The inventory worth is 0 because we actually don't have anything in stock. So let's go change that. Say from stock, we have 16. Now we take however many we have, multiply by our unit cost, and we get our inventory. We can also generate printable invoice lists. This is for the sake of one of our beta users. We were just testing this out. It was a feature that they needed at the time. So this could be still available or maybe made even better in the future. So the last thing that we can probably show is actually going into our other users. What we'll do is we'll show that multiple users can use this at the same time. There's no limit. We're not going to have that. It doesn't cost more, nothing like that. So we'll put this here. We'll use here and go to our subdomain. So there. And we will log in as a staff user. And you'll see kind of what's different here. So we can still edit and print. As you can see on this invoice, we can still create. We go to the navigation bar. You'll notice there's no business settings or reports on the staff user. And so on the owner, you can only see that and make those changes. So that's one of the permissions that are implemented for the staff user. Now, if we log out on this person and over to our employee account, this has even a different set of permissions. So already you see, hey, you can't create an invoice, you can't edit an invoice, and another thing is they can't see the totals of the. So let's go into the invoice, scroll down. You notice that there is no dollar values to amount to this information, so that all they need to worry about is getting things on the invoice or looking at, hey, what needs to be done on the invoice, instead of worrying about, wow, this business is making a lot of money, you know, why am I not getting paid as much? So it alleviates their concern for that. So that's just something, a little feature we have for that permission level. As I said, in the future, we'll have a little bit more elaborate permissions. So maybe some employees can edit the invoice while others cannot. So we'll be definitely getting more granular in the future. So that is our multiple user capability, which is awesome. So, you know, we're looking forward to people using this and giving us suggestions. We're making it as easy as possible. We want to make this thing a lot better. Some of you may be concerned about price. The whole idea is we don't want to take advantage of the industry. You know, a lot of softwares out there cost thousands of dollars, and you have to host it and manage it. This you don't have to worry about. Monthly fee, it'll probably be around $50 to $70 a month. When we release, all beta users will get half of that cost. Whenever you start your subscription, you'll be grandfathered in at that price. So even if we raise it by any amount, you'll still be paying the same price. Everyone gets updates. There's no limit to that at all. So we look forward to having you at Fytron Software, and feel free to contact us at any time. Thank you.